What's up, community? In this video, I wanted to talk about how you can be able to get more dream clients into your scalable offers and also less objections when people are asking for your in-person stuff and you don't have any more room for that. So why this is so important is because if you're watching this right now and you already have your membership, you already have your course, you've got group lessons that you're trying to grow, but it is not, the income there is not as much as your private lessons, and you're wanting to flip that around so that you have more time, you have more energy for yourself, then this is going to be the perfect video for you. I want to share with you the reasons why that problem is happening, but also what you can do, what you can start doing from now on to make sure that you are getting students wanting to join your scalable offers, but also not having any objections when it's like, oh no, I was just looking for a private teacher, I'll look somewhere else. So where the origin of this is, I created a post this week all around this, and it was talking about how you can upgrade your program all you want, but making your program really good is not going to automatically mean your dream students are going to come in and want that as well. Because one thing that I've learned about offer, something that my coach continually reminds me of, is that offer is not just about reality, but it's about like perception, and it's about how your students and your potential students actually perceive your programs and your lessons. Because a lot of us, we grow up, we have all probably taken private lessons at some point, and we know the power of it, right? Like for me, when I first started like getting into piano lessons, my very first program actually was like Yamaha program, like Yamaha group program. I slightly remember it because I was like 4 years old. That's when you start getting memories. But I remember like sitting in that room, there was other students around, and then all of a sudden I got switched to private lessons. Why? I don't know, but maybe my parents thought it was better. And I remember when I first started teaching piano, like the only thing I really knew what to do was to teach private lessons, because that's the only thing I really experienced. So I went through that. I went through a lot of challenges, and as I was growing as a teacher, I started, going through the normal new teacher problems where students don't get results, and I start feeling frustrated, right? And students start leaving to go somewhere else. But that's how we grow, of course, right? But a lot of us are in a different phase of our teaching, and a lot of my clients are as well, where you can get like the private students, right? You probably have filled it up to capacity. You probably have a waiting list. You've got students kind of banging on your doors, and you probably have experience in this group teaching. You probably have launched your scalable programs before, but maybe you're in that phase now where you're like, I want to ramp this up. Like, I know this is the direction I need to go in order to have the next life that I want. Like, you're saying goodbye to the one-on-ones and you're wanting to scale up the group. But the problem is that why is it so much harder, right? I've heard a lot of my clients who have started their scalable programs, started group programs, created their online course, but have gone right back to teaching one-on-one because they've run into problems and they weren't able to get through it. And some of us too have gone through hiring teachers. Like for me, I never got to the point where I like hired a teacher, but I've had team members before, and I've hired people onto my team before. So I know what it's like managing a team, and it's definitely it's not an easy thing. It requires like a certain type of leadership, right? But for a lot of us, like we go back to that. We go back to kind of like the old habits of like, oh, we'll just offer that one-on-one lesson, or well, maybe I can squeeze another lesson onto my Sunday calendar. And I know that for me, whenever I like bypass those boundaries and standards that I have, I always regretted it, right? Maybe you've been through the same thing as well. But this video is going to be, again, really geared towards the ones that are really ready to scale the scalable programs. and not have to grow the one-on-one and not have to rely on the one-on-ones anymore for your income. Because the key here is that what I've seen with a lot of teachers is that they, like, either subconsciously or in their marketing, the problem is that we are almost ranking these two different offers, right? So you might offer one-on-one and you have your group program, but a lot of the problem is that we're making our group program feel inferior to our one-on-ones, where I think about it a different way. And the reason why my clients, we work on what we call the hybrid model, which is kind of like a combination of both, is because you can get someone into a hybrid model, and whether they thrive in one-on-one or group, they have those pieces of support to support them. But if you're having those as separate, right, a lot of us, and a lot of students too, they feel like one-on-one is superior to anything group-wise, which is not actually the case, right? If you really think about it, like group programs can provide so much more results for your students, and you probably know that. You probably are trying to preach that to your future students, your current students in your marketing too, but it's maybe not coming across the right way. Like, why are people still coming up to you and being like, no, I don't want the group one. I just want the one-on-one. Or I don't want the in-person one. I don't want the online one. I just want the in-person one. The problem is that we're treating that as inferior to our one-on-ones. So when people buy into the group program, they feel like they're not getting as much value as the one-on-one. Where I think of it differently again, the two different types of offers, of course, one-on-one there's like a different level of proximity. You're obviously going to charge more for that because it takes up more of your time. But I feel like one-on-one programs are great for a certain type of person, and group programs are great for a different type of person, right? And none of them are better, but one of them is better for the type of student that you are talking to. So what's important is that we figure out who is the student that we're actually talking to. What type of support do they actually need? Do they actually need that personalized one-on-one support, or would they be better off in a community setting? Would they be better off learning with other students, right? Thinking about what are the actual benefits of each program depending on the student that you're talking to is important, because at the end of the day, we're not here to like get every student to work with us. We're not here to have every student be like, I want to work with you. But it's all about getting the right student to work with you, right? It's all about giving the student the right solution, giving them the very next best step for them, whether that be a one-on-one program or whether that be a group program. So if we want to be able to translate that now to our marketing, right? Like, what is the key here? And how I think of it is like, we want to move less. We want to have the emphasis on our content less about the deliverables, less about, hey, I have X amount of spots open. Hey, this is why you should enter my group program, and more about you and more about the way that you teach, your unique mechanism. And this is all part of like personal branding and what I'm focusing on with my personal brand, but also what I'm teaching for my clients as well. A big emphasis is getting people hooked on you and getting people hooked on your method, right? Because if people start to love who you are, if people start to love your unique way of teaching, it doesn't matter if it's one-on-one or a group, they're going to want to work with you, right? And that's that's where I feel like the real freedom comes in on being able to offer really anything, is that when you have a strong personal brand where people don't just want to look for an in-person teacher, an online teacher, a one-on-one teacher, a group teacher, they're looking for you, it becomes so easy to be able to get in the right student. It becomes so effortless to get in the right student because you're like a product of one, right? Nobody can replicate that. So you're not going to have people jumping around being like, oh, I'll just look for another one-on-one teacher. Because if they're really looking to work with you, anything that you offer, they're going to want to take it. And of course, This video is not about like creating great offers or anything like that. That's already the first half of the equation. You got to have a great offer, you got to have a great program, you got to have a great community first, but we have to think about the perception of it as well. Are people perceiving the value of the group program? Are they actually wanting to work with you and learning from your unique method, or are they just looking for any other teacher? How can they start to see you as the one for them? Like, that's something that I'm really focusing on now in my content, is just being ultra specific on who I'm trying to speak to and the type of result that I'm trying to bring people as well. And for you, I feel like the best place to start off is like when you are writing your next piece of content, like thinking about yourself, thinking about how can I serve my past self, because that will get out the real specificity out there. Like for me, I talked to the college Ben. I talked to the Ben that was super busy as a music major when I was juggling a full studio, being a full-time music ed student. I had to practice for juries, still have a social life, and I remember like getting to the point where I canceled lessons because I was just so exhausted. All right, like when I talked to that Ben, like I could talk with so much great detail in my content that anyone else that has slightly remote experience to that, they will feel that as well, because I'm so specific with it. So taking that for yourself, when you're talking about not just your offers, but your brand, your studio, the feeling that you want people to have in your community, be really specific on who you're talking to. Make sure that you're talking to your past self, because if anything, like if your students are just like you in your past, then they're probably going to be amazing students, right? So that's what we should really be focusing on. I've had a lot of clients. I talked to a lot of teachers who spend months working on their program, and so much time goes by where they could have been getting people into the program and improving it with people in there. That I feel like if you're watching this right now, you can start doing that as well. You can start getting people in and start improving the program as you get people in as well. Because that's the point of why we're doing this, is to get students in. So if we want to make great programs, we not only have to build a great program, but we also have to make sure our marketing is aligned with that, is making sure that people see that people want to work with us and people see us as the one for them, no matter what we offer. And then when it comes down to, hey, I want to work with you, what do you actually offer? Then you can actually give them the right prescription. You can prescribe them the right offer. You can be like, hey, because this is the level of support that you're looking for, my one-on-one spots are probably the best for you. Or, hey, since you're looking for this type of support, my group program is probably going to be best for you. And that's really how you're going to be able to have like true freedom with what you offer and not get really like that many objections, whether you're offering one-on-one or group. So would love to hear what you think. I'd love to create a discussion around this. So if you got any thoughts, feel free to share it below, and looking forward to hearing it.